is afraid now. But why shouldn't Tinubu release Nnamdi Kanu? We are not moving now. So if Obi is trying to destabilize the coalition, Igbo will get against him. Because the only issue now for the coalition to excel is for Tinubu to leave an innocent man that is agitating for his own right.
They made fun of each other. But we've seen the Fulanis now, they are in serious panic. They said Tinubu is ready to what? To destroy their coalition, between the Fulanis and Peter Obi. For what they said it's as if Tinubu is trying to unite the southern politicians, for 2027. What's the take as
and exactly, that's a good plan. That would be a plan that Tinubu should have actually, capitalize on, strategize or emphasize on, uniting the southern politicians against their northern counterparts. Because the northern counterparts are fighting hard to disorganize Tinubu's, second coming, while they work hard and made sure that Buhari stayed up to 8 years. He finished his first tenure and second tenure. Why not a southern finish his first and second tenure? That's why I'm seeing what Tinubu is doing as anti-southern politicians. Tinubu is supposed to be strong, carrying the southern politicians, developing the whole entire south, uniting the southern politicians, both tribes, together. But he's just being selfish and greedy. He's not doing it until what we actually discover at Basilica, St. Peter in Rome, shocked everybody. Peter Obi coming together with Tinubu after introduction by Fawemi, and Obi and Tinubu embrace themselves. I don't know what I understand. In friendship, meaning that there is going to be a crack in the war of coalition parties coming together to us, Tinubu, comes 2027. But what Tinubu should be doing now is to play a politics that is tribalized. The tribalized politics is it. Not only carrying your people along, releasing Igbowo and leaving only Nnamdi Kanu. That is where he's going to get loopholes in the south. Because failing to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that war against coalition that he has actually established with Obi can never excel. It can't go anywhere because the Igbos are aggrieved. Tinubu is highly tribalized. What is the need of leaving someone's pikin and you release your pikin from suffering? He's a highly tribalized man. You see that coalition, it's not going to work. Oh, I'm an Igbo. I'm telling you the truth. I like as Fulani is annoyed. Fulani is afraid now. But why shouldn't Tinubu release Nnamdi Kanu? We are not moving now. So if Obi is trying to destabilize the coalition, Igbo will get against him. Because the only issue now for the coalition to excel is for Tinubu to leave an innocent man that is agitating for his own right. It is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's constitutional right to agitate for emancipation of Biafra. Nobody owns Igbo man. Nobody owns Biafra. Biafra is an entity of his own. So the best thing to do before the coalition could excel, after meeting Obi at Basilica, St. Peter, Vatican, Rome, is to do what? Do the needful. Let Omoto just stop all these games he's playing. Inviting masked men, masquerade to talk rubbish in the courts. It can't go well. He should release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu if he wants any coalition to go well. So the Fulanis, the Buharis, the Erufais, the Gumis, all that Baba Bache are planning in the north, we crash. But if we still hold on to Igbo hate, Igbo Kwanu, Igbo phobia, Igbo hate, we finish him. He's not going anywhere. 2027 until he releases Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
But we've seen a lot of people here in the south say that Tinubu should make sure he and Peter Obi try not to make sure that the power go back to the northern part of Nigeria. Yes. But do you think that because Peter Obi just recently this evening in an interview with Channel TV, he said what? He said he's not fighting with Tinubu, that what, and this has caused panic to Fulani. He said he's fighting against poverty and what, and children that are out of school. He said he's not fighting with Tinubu. Do you not think this statement will cause more panic to the northern
Obi has been fighting poverty, illiteracy since inception. He was invited into government, in 2005. Obi was a businessman. Obi doesn't know anything about politics until Obi was invited into politics in 2005. And you can see that he wasn't a politician. He's a righteous man, a man that knows how to manage, a management expert. His prowess in the management world has surprised every big canal in Nigeria because of the kind of government Obi formed from 2005 to 2013. Anambra State became one in education. He actually equipped the whole primary school, secondary school, with computer, with laptop, everything, modern equipment that he needed for students to excel in their various, educational sector or session. Anambra State became one in education. None in the southern Nigeria is more educated than Anambra man. The people that are well known for entrepreneurship has now become experts, good in science and technology. It is Peter Obi that has started it. So what I'm trying to say is this: Obi should not anyway in any form bring shame to the Igbos. We are not fools. Obi can never unite with Tinubu. Tinubu is a highly tribalized Igbo hater. Igbo na kwenu, Igbophobia is it. Anti-Igbo activities is anti-Semitism. So Obi will have no reason to do that, and we will never support him. The only thing that Tinubu can do now, I still maintain it, I reiterate, that Tinubu should release an innocent man. Failure to do so, Obi will never ever form anti-coalition, whatever, with Tinubu. If he does, the Igbos will turn their back on them. So listen, we the Igbos, we are so resilient and stubborn. You can't deceive us. We are not fools in Nigeria. It was obvious that it was Igbo's turn in 2023. Tinubu upturned it with money. Forget it. Yes, I said it. Forget it. Anti-coalition will not work. Because the whole Southeasterners are looking forward. The very day now the Kanu will be released. Who is looking after who? Nobody. Who is after Tinubu? Nobody. Obi is not after Tinubu. We are businessmen. We are Republicans. But what we are after is release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Enough of all that nonsense.
Okay.
Forming coalition. You want to go there 2027. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is there. You release Igbo. Two of them we are doing the business, the same business. Tribal bigots.
Okay, but a lot of people have come out and said that what they prefer Tinubu and Peter Obi, should work together than him working with Atiku. What's your take as
okay, what we are saying is that nobody is affair. No Igbo man is against Tinubu. You know that. Igbo man are businessmen. Look at them doing well. We are saying release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. If you don't release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, your coalition or joining forces together with Obi is zero. Igbo man can't support you. While Nnamdi Kanu is in, we don't have anything to do with Tinubu. We don't have anything to do with APC since Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in. What are we saying? This is my stance, and I'm telling you, this is Igbo man's stand. You should be tribalize your policies, your regime, your administration. Igbo man, we are not slaves. We are better than any tribe in Africa. Let me just be very, very, what do you call it? Blunt. Yes, I'm meticulous. We are the best tribe in Africa. You don't enslave Igbo man in Nigeria here. You are telling me that Obi will unite with Tinubu. It is a lie. Obi is not uniting with Tinubu until Tinubu do the needful. That is my point. Coalition, anti-coalition, we fail. Tinubu doesn't need Igbo man. Don't you see that they don't need Igbo man? Don't you see that they hate Igbo man? Okay? My point and my stand is that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be free. If at all, any coalition or joining forces with Obi could work. So that we take what is ours. Africans should not be neglected as if we are pigs. All these politicians, they align with their European counterparts to make sure that they stop us from, advancing like Western Europe, like United States of America and the Asian tiger. What are we waiting for? Pan-Africanism is it. And that is what will give us the freedom we are campaigning for.
The EU and the UK do something about, Africans that are fighting for freedom, that are being arrested in other parts of, Europe, in US, in Norway, in Finland. That is our time, they look into this. What's your take as regards Pan-African and associate now calling out the likes of Tinubu to release Nnamdi Kanu and do the info before they take them to international level?
That is a very welcome development, because we've seen that African platforms like ECOWAS, AU have been bought over by the colonial imperialists, the British, the French, the Belgian, and the rest of them in Western Europe. See, before it was AU. If you have a case within your country before, and you go to AU, report to AU, report to ECOWAS and AU, they would do something about it. I mean before, but this time they don't do anything. Why? Because they have, sold out to Britain, to the Spanish, to the Belgians, to the French. They are no longer taking action. They are no longer fighting for the common Africans anymore. That's why Pan-African group are platforms, a podium, African in unity. That's unifying the whole Africa to fight against, inhumanity of most of the African leaders against Africans. So Pan-African activists, they have taken right activism to the next level, and the coming together to fight for Nnamdi Kanu, to fight for Ayuba and other freedom fighters that have been, incarcerated in Europe, like Simon Ekpa, Ayuba was incarcerated in Norway, and they have come together to join forces with other African rightists or human rights activists in diaspora to fight this kind of, let me say, menace encroaching entire African continent. It has not started today. Before independence, they were there. The African nationalists, Mandela, Odinga, Milton Obote, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Zlopor Senghor. There are many of them, even Jomo Kenyatta and Julius Nyerere. That was how they started, liberating African countries from the hand grip of British hegemonies and the French hegemonies, the Belgians and the Spanish, even the Portuguese. And they actually fought it, to the level that independence of Africa started, African countries started in 1957. Ghana got it. Before Ghana or after Ghana, before Ghana, Egypt got their own. And then South Africa, they hold South Africa as a result of the kind of resources they have there. And the numbers of the years, the Bola, the Dutch, they stayed in Africa. They complained that they don't know their home anymore. They could not trace their ancestors back to where their origins, where they come from. That's why they stay put in Southern Africa for how many years? Until 1989, they actually left South Africa during the era of Perez de Kuala and the Pieter Botha. Pieter Botha was the last, colonial, president of Southern Africa in 1989. After releasing Mandela, Mandela spent 27 years in prison from 1962 to 1989. Mandela was freed and South Africa granted independence. And their first ever president, I think, became Mandela. That was in 1992. Yeah, Mandela was made president, I think so, and until he resigned after. So let me tell you, it is a welcome idea, situation, or movement, because failure to do that, you will find out that Britain is coming again. Even if they don't come in person, the kind of agenda the British, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese are using, against Africa is more painful than colonial era. Because what is happening presently is they throw someone, a political leader, someone they should stay at his back, even against the choices or mandates by the Africans. They will support someone that will be dancing to their costumes, someone they should be, controlling, someone that doesn't have vision to better the Africans. These are the people they should, support, place them at the front, even helping them to rig election. The way they rig Nigeria election, didn't you see something about it? We all went out en masse and voted Obi, Tinubu, because the British, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Americans, even under Joe Biden regime, he supported Tinubu. That's why our votes in African continent doesn't count. This continent, you vote or you don't vote, the imperialists, they back the back leaders, they back the greedy leaders that will be helping them to siphon our natural resources into Europe. That's why you find out that each and every time we had presidential election in the past, you see European observers, you see American observers, you see United Nations, they are here. These are the bandits we are talking about, ex-convicts that actually supported, invasion of Africa in the past. And they are working hard presently to make sure that that kind of ideology or agenda that's sold before African independence will be thriving in this present dispensation. I tell you, the American, the European, the United Nations, the foreign observers that are coming to conduct presidential election in Nigeria, connect together with Tinubu, connect together with Buhari. Obama was the one that rigged Jonathan out of office. This is what Africa has been going through. So that's why I am seeing freedom fighters in Africa, somebody like Simon Ekpa, somebody like Nnamdi Kanu, Ayub of Mbazonia. It is only the African rightists, human rights activists, the pan-Africanists, united together or coming together. Mbazonia must surely come, and Biafra will actually emancipate. Nnamdi Kanu is coming out willy-nilly. They are going to work hard to make sure that this month should be the last month Simon Ekpa will be incarcerated in Finland. you can see what actually happened or transpired. A situation whereby the 4 Igbos, the 4 Biafrans arrested with Samorepa in Finland has been what? Gained their freedom. That is a wake-up call. And I can tell you right now that not only the Igbo lawyers are fighting it now, Africa, Pan-Africanists, they are consisted of Burkina Babes, Ghanaians, Zimbabweans, Southern Africans, Tanzanians, Kenyans, Nigerians, whether Biafra, Igbo or Yoruba. All these are strong Africans that are working hard as freedom fighters in diaspora. They are coming together as Pan-Africanists. Pan-Africanism is it. That movement is the only thing that can elevate Africa from the poverty as an injury inflicted on this continent by our European, colonialists. They are very, very disastrous. They mean disaster to African nation. They are taking us backward again, trying to neo-colonize us. You see what is going on? Yes, the ideology is neo-colonialism because they are in control. They are dominating Africa. They are at the back door using most of the greedy politicians. You see what is happening in Kenya. Kenya almost erupted into full escalated war last year. Yes, that is it. Who are the problem there? Britain. You see Cameroon, the Pobia actually, was deposed or, beaten to death last year in France. In 2023, nearly 2 years now in France. What happened was that Pobia was there since 86 or more as their president, going to 40 years, if not up to 40 years now, for something years. Why? Because Amada Hijo took air and they resigned until 1989. I think he actually was out of power, in Cameroon. They actually, elected another person, and he was Paul Biya, the 92-year-old president who was there since 1980s, is still ruling Cameroon. Who are the people that are causing this kind of injury on Africans? The British, the French especially. And you can see that the whole Francophones in Africa, all the French-speaking countries in Africa, they are coming together to begin the kind of campaign for emancipation of truly African nationalities. Exactly what Captain Traore is doing in Burkina Faso. Other Francophones have started emulating him. Mali is there. Senegal is coming. Wait for Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire has started their own movement. It is the high time the Anglophones, the English-speaking countries in Africa, should come together as Pan-Africanists to fight the British imperialism. The British we are talking about, Nigeria boasted of having or getting their independence in 1960. It is a lie. There are still glitches in the system we run here because Britain still have hand in our nascent democracy. Nobody is operating or operating democratic system of government here. What we have at the back door is the British controlling, remoting our so-called political leaders, feeding us with what? Granite and peanut, actually siphoning the major money, natural resources, natural endowment that God has given us here into the United Kingdom, into the French land. Why is Tinubu always visiting Macron in France? Don't you know what is going on? Too much money laundering going on. Tinubu government borrowing too much billions of dollars from China, and where are the money being sunk to? Nothing. They are sinking the money only into their personal account, taking care of their families, leaving Nigerians to die of what? Multi-dimensional poverty. That is what Nigerians are going through today. Go to the street of Lagos, Abuja, Kano. Go everywhere in the southeastern Nigeria, you see people scavenging for scraps, for condemned iron, for plastic, for nylon, for discarded, materials on the street, on the waste bin. That has actually told the whole world the kind of multi-dimensional poverty Nigerians are passing through. The British are the cause of our problem.
Okay, but if these African countries like Nigeria, like Cameroon, don't do the needful by releasing these people that Pan-African Forum wants, an associate wants to release, do you think that they have what it takes to drag this country to the ICC and to United Nations to do the needful?
Yes, ICC, I'm telling you, they can do the needful based on genocide going on presently, because you can see they have started it in Burkina Faso. The French want to kill that young boy, that 6-year-old Captain Traore. That's why they are paying Fulani militia all over Sahel country have been bought over by the French. Macron regime has employed almost the whole Sahel Fulani militias to fight the young boy. Just 3-4 days ago, they nearly attacked him, but he used drone. You know, military equipment he bought from South Korea, China, you know, Russia. He used drone to bring the militia from Fulani countries down. That's why he has actually come out to tell the Fulanis to give them quick notice. And actually, the headers, the Fulani bush dwellers, and even the ones that are living in township, they have all absconded Burkina Faso. That is a good idea. So what I'm trying to say is that ICJ is a threat too. Where is ICJ located? ICJ is located in Europe. Who are the chief judges who are presiding over the World Court judge in Hague, in Brussels? They are the Europeans. So going to ICC, I think it is a welcome idea. But if you ask me, we are drawing ourselves that back, because the Europeans are the one in charge there. What are we going to do? There should be revolution set up. Something that happens across Europe during 18th, 17th centuries. Something that happened in the United States of America. I think 16th, 17th centuries. When it was obvious in America that British was in control. Yes, the rest of nationalities in America, they gang up together against the British to actually tell Britain, you are not solely the owner, the colonial master in the new world. The Spanish, the French, the Italians, the Japanese, the Chinese, everybody are there. The Dutch, they are there in America. So they come together to form a union called America is for Americans. That is Americanism. They fought British under a general, George Washington. In 1770s, America had their own president and formed a very strong union that fought American Civil War and brought the whole union, United States Union, both North and Southern USA, to a very strong single union under Abraham Lincoln. And today, America is working. So what I'm trying to say is that the whole country in Africa should unite together, turn their back against United Nations, ICC, and even Organization of African Unity, which is currently translated to what? AU. Turn their back on these platforms. United Nations is not for black man. United Nations was formed in 1945 to use black man as an experiment, siphon all our natural resources into the United States of America, into Europe themselves. I'm telling you, Americans are benefiting from Africa. The British, the French, the Belgians, Spanish, and Portuguese, they are still rearing Africans as slaves. That's why they always siphon the precious stones, the gold and the diamonds in Congo DR and other parts of the world, like Burkina Faso, uranium over there, and gold that are deposited naturally in quantum in that country are being siphoned into Europe by the French. And today, Traore is doing work to transform that country into one of the most advanced third world country on the continent of Africa. And you can see France is not happy. So what I'm trying to say is that going to ICC is wasting of resources, because white man does not regard you and I. They see us as pigs and monkeys. If you go to ICC level, taking all these political leaders and the neo-colonialists to Europe, it is going to favor them. ICC belongs to them. ICC does not belong to black man. So I'm telling you that the Pan-Africanists, they should come together, unite in Africa, and rise up. An uprising, the kind of revolution that will take Africa by storm, is going to correct the anomalies politically on the continent of Africa. You see, when apartheid was on progressively in Southern Africa, there was this reconciliatory attempt made by South Africans. They formed ANC, they formed other groups, you know, headed by, the other one was headed by Mandela, the other one was headed by other men, you know, that were standing on their foot to assist the blacks separate from the white, or fight the white for South African independence. Until what happened in 1989. By then, Mandela has spent over 20 26 years, getting to 27 years. They succeeded on doing that. Because why? They actually stood on their feet that there must be a revolution in Southern Africa. The whites were killing the blacks in their large number, and the black, stood up and began resisting their white counterparts. Yes, the black South Africans sacrificed their life. In Europe, Bonaparte, what is that his name? Napoleon. He stood up. That was French Revolution. He fought the war against the monarch over there, French monarchs. They always stand on their selfish way. They don't stand for their people. Their stand is for their family, their wife, their gold, their bank, their everything, believing that it is God that has given the king right to lord it over, the citizen.